You are listening to From There to Here, a Star Trek Enterprise podcast. Hello, my name is Josh, and with me is
Justin.
Today we're reviewing Season 2, Episode 1, Shockwave, Part 2. On the IMDb, this has a rating of 8.2 out of 10 out of a total of 2,300 votes. And according to Wikipedia, this is what it's about. With Archer gone, T'Pol chooses to surrender the ship to the Suliban to let them verify his disappearance. They do not find any trace of Archer, but they retrieve their data disks and detect a temporal signature in the turbolift. What do you have, Justin?
I have an original air date of May 22nd, 2002. No, I'm sorry. That was probably part one.
I thought so.
September 18th, 2002.
Right.
And unfortunately for production, it was pretty much a copy-paste for the episode, the same as part one.
Okay. With
Rick Berman, proud of how we ended the cliffhanger episode, quote, "I think it will blow people away."
He said it twice. For both?
Well, whoever wrote this Wikipedia entry
they
copy-pasted.
Just didn't seem to want to look into this.
No, apparently not. And again,
there's some things I'd like to know. That's too bad.
And worth, I suppose, I think I mentioned it the last time, but worth noting that Shockwave Part 2 was not actually the first episode filmed of the season. It was actually the second,
right.
Carbon Creek. The next episode was filmed
I don't remember if you told me this while we were podcasting or if you told me this in real life.
I don't actually know the answer to that. Yeah.
All right. So Shockwave Part 2, where the shockwave just got bigger.
Apparently.
What did you think? Full disclosure, actually it was 2 weeks ago because last week we did our season 1 recap.
Mm-hmm.
Justin and I, the royal we pretty much changed the whole plot of the first part.
Well, I wouldn't say we so much changed it as much as we chose an element of it and expanded that.
We significantly reworked it. Is that fair?
That would be fair to say. We reworked it significantly.
Okay, so going into this, Justin and I were a little, we were a little saddened because I was like, wow, we really liked what we came up with.
We wanted to see a sequel to what we came up with.
We want to see part 2 to what we came up with. And so we weren't incredibly jazzed going into this, but after watching it, I was pretty satisfied. I thought it was a good part 2.
I got to say, I enjoyed part 2 more than I enjoyed part 1.
So did I. That explains the higher rating too, at least.
Oh, it is
on the IMDb. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me this: what elements of part 2 did you like the most?
Well, I think as we said last week, the first part was all about setting everything up.
Right.
This is where everything gets paid out.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the stakes have been raised, and then the ship is cornered, and then it becomes pretty much a die-hard situation part 2. They all have to break out. They all have to work together. It was great. It was an ensemble. Again, they all got to do a little something. That was great.
Yeah.
The circumstance was it was dire. They had, the future was destroyed. They had no machinery. How Archer couldn't communicate with them in any way, only through some high school electronics, I guess, through Daniels, but they were able to if only Archer had adjusted the tracking on his image, maybe
it would have cleaned right up.
I think they could have fixed that. He was able to send his image back through time.
He may not have a quantum dialer,
but he has no little tracking wheel. I was like, come on, VHS machines had those. Come on,
from the 80s.
Yes, and we had dustbusters too.
Yeah, that was before they had dust repellent covers.
Oh, dust repellent cup. Yes, you're right.
Yes, I know.
I thought it was. Is it paper or covers?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I think I lost the thread of what I was saying. Either way, I thought that I thought it worked, because it basically, because I think of what I just said, I think I made my point. Like because of the stakes and the drama, rather than establishing everything, which is what part 1 was, I was entertained. What about you?
I agree. I think your description of the plot, the stakes of the plot have been raised. Mm-hmm. I think that was very well put, and I agree. And there's really 2 concurrent plot lines happening. There's Archer in the future with Daniels, and the business on Enterprise being taken over and then retaken. And like I said, first of all, I enjoyed this one more than the first one. But interestingly, although obviously the first episode sets it up, I don't think the you know how you and I said that the real drama of part one was whether or not they were going to be sent back to Earth and be canceled and all that, and that was resolved. So that stuff isn't even an issue anymore. So it's almost like they were kind of starting fresh just with the fact that the Suliban are sitting there. And,
as you were saying this,
yeah,
what I think we liked about this, maybe there's some kind of thematic connection is what I'm getting at between our idea for part one and what part two did.
Yeah.
Was while Archer was in the future, no machinery, they couldn't do anything. And then here on Enterprise, everyone's being held hostage by the Suliban. All their back is proverbially against the wall, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what we wanted, I think, for part one. Like, we wanted them to not solve this problem. Like, they had to go back to Earth and they lost their ship. Yeah. So by the time they need to steal their ship, they have no other choice. Like, just like in this episode, Hoshi had no other choice but to crawl through the crawl spaces and lose. I mean,
small fries compared to stealing the Enterprise, but
you see what I mean, right?
Yeah. As you were talking, for whatever reason, well, first let me say, of the two plot lines going on, I was more interested in the stuff on the Enterprise.
Yeah, so was I.
I enjoyed them figuring out a way to communicate, through the things on the wall, and what the word that came to mind was scrappy. They're outmanned, they're outgunned, and it's just the bridge crew conveniently.
What do you have? Guile.
Klingon Guile. Apparently, he can't communicate with anyone but people in the main cast.
Yeah, and apparently there's no extras on B deck.
Yeah, no. There's no one else of use anywhere on the ship.
Yeah,
and there's no one in between.
Right.
That can be picked up and used, but that's fine. But it's like the scrappy group that could, and I enjoyed the business of T'Pol being tortured, although you don't really know what they were doing, which is kind of a shame.
I thought that was a little too vague. I wanted to know what they were doing because
I got the feeling they were injecting her with something.
Sure, it was just a little like, oh, let's put a collar around her.
Yeah. But she was obviously very loopy.
Yes, but
yeah, I know. It would have been nice to see it.
No, it was because the loopiness continues when she returns to her quarters. And
yeah, she's really out of it.
And she's really out of it. She's like in the fetal position. She's like...
And we've never seen her lay down in bed.
No.
She even talks about she doesn't really sleep. She meditates.
Is this the first time we see her in those silk pajamas?
Well, it won't be the last.
Well, that I know, but is this the first one?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. We've seen her midriff so many times. I can't recall in what...
Well, we see... Hoshi's midriff too, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
And we see a little bit more.
Yeah, well, hold on before we go there.
Like we ever go in continuity anymore.
No, I know. But long story short, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Mm-hmm. I do wish in an alternate universe we could see the sequel to the episode that we came up with. But it wasn't bad. I do have some thoughts. But I did enjoy the stuff on Enterprise itself, and I thought that stuff was relatively well paced. I enjoyed and
there was consequences for what they were doing.
Yeah, there were consequences.
I mean, their plot to get out was not pain free. Malcolm got the crap kicked out of him,
and they knew that was going to happen.
Yes,
they knew
did.
He was going to get caught.
Yes,
and he knew he was going to get the stuffings kicked out of him, or worse. He didn't know,
but
he was willing to take
it was a
that
gamble.
Chance. Yeah. And I enjoyed Jolene Blaylock's performance of T'Pol being loopy and kind of crazy. The Vulcan science director said that, nope, you're not here.
She did a good job.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you on my wall? Why are you on the ceiling?
And I watching her in scenes like this, and I'm sure it's going to be in future episodes. Yeah. I think we've given her a lot of credit in the past, but she is a really good actress.
She is really good,
and I think because she is used for eye candy primarily, I think
people tend to forget
people focus on that part first.
Yes.
And then don't credit her acting, which is kind of unfortunate.
I think she was utilized well at the beginning of the series, the first season.
Yeah.
And then they kind of lost track of her for a while in season 1. I feel like they kind of, focused more on Trip or this and that. T'Pol kind of, other than obviously there's the episode with the Vulcan rapist guy.
Well, then there's Pajem. And
Sure. I'm not saying there's not moments.
Yeah. Okay.
But it seems like they kind of lost their way with her for a little bit. They weren't exactly sure. The plot lines didn't give her anything to do. She would just be now we shouldn't do that because, and they would say, well, we're humans, we're doing it anyway. But finally, she kind of has more to do, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But to go back to what you said,
yes,
the unfortunate Hoshi moment.
Oh, so you want to go
sure.
there now?
You brought it up, so let's do it.
I mean, it wasn't. I think I've become a little. What's the word?
Numb.
Numb is that's not exactly the word I was looking for, but sure. Accustomed to.
Cheap shots.
Yes, to cheap shots like this. I mean, we had how many scenes in the decon room, and then we saw how many times we see them in their blue undies. I mean, this
one was almost worse in the sense that you didn't need to do that at all.
Well,
there was no reason.
I feel bad because Hoshi's supposed to be like the young innocent one.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see her like that.
And there's not much to see. I mean, she's built like a 12-year-old boy.
Okay, well, I'm not saying that, but it didn't seem necessary. Like,
no, it wasn't.
With Hoshi's character.
Okay, for anyone that doesn't know, she was sent into the air ducts to travel from room to room, doing a John McClane.
Yeah,
and she had to get down into someone else's quarters, or to go find someone. And on her way down, her shirt, because mind you, she's now conveniently wearing a tank top.
Yeah, she couldn't, apparently her uniform was too constrictive.
Even though there was room for 3 Hoshis in that thing.
Yes.
But on her way down, something catches her shirt and it rips off as she jumps down.
Yeah. Of course, it wasn't like a regular t-shirt. It was a tank top with a midriff showing. Like, it wasn't a shirt that went all the way down, I don't think.
I don't know.
I don't think it was.
I don't remember if we saw that. But, she knocks on Malcolm's door and it opens up and she's there covering her bits and pieces. And she's like, I don't want to hear about it. Just give me a shirt. It wasn't even sexy what they did. It wasn't funny. I know that's what they were trying to do.
I feel bad for the actress.
I feel bad for her too, because it was...
Yeah, because that's got to be on set. It's got to be like a, awkward moment.
Of course it must be.
Clearly, she might... I think they might have that tape over.
Sure, but like
that's really covering anything.
You're still exposed.
Yes, I know.
And
like male actors, when they have to go nude, they'll put on that sock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, come on, at that point, I mean, what are you really covering here?
I'd wear the sock.
I mean... I don't know. I mean, if I'm going to be that naked, I might as well just be naked at that point. Come on.
You got bigger stones than me. Doesn't matter what I'm packing.
I mean, I got anything to show off anyway. So I'm like, whatever. It's fine. Like, let's just go all the way. Like, we're at 90%. Let's do the last 10%.
That's what Hugh Jackman did for a scene in X-Men 2. It was a flashback where he comes running out from the procedure where he had his adamantium put in.
Okay.
And... the director said, we'll get you a thing. He's like, Brian, just roll it. I'm going to go do it. And he goes, okay, roll. And he just ran out and just did it. And, because kind of like what you said, at that point, what's the point?
Yeah.
Just do it. So he went au naturel. And I mean, if you're Hugh Jackman, I guess you can do that. But for me, I'd be more like George Costanza. I was just in the pool.
I was in the pool. Well, that reminds me of that moment I think I read that in remember the Star Trek compendiums?
Yeah.
Or the episode guide books, whatever.
Yeah, we're nerds.
Before the internet, we had those. And I had the TNG one. And, each episode would have its synopsis and it would have like sometimes background info.
Right.
And on one of what's the Q, not hiding Q, not Q who? What am I thinking of? Where he comes back, he doesn't have his powers.
Q,
not Cupid.
Stop. Oh man, it's not hiding Q. Deja Q. Deja Q.
That shot in the opening where
he went natural.
Well, they couldn't get the shot at first. He was wearing like some covering.
Yeah.
And they kept getting it in the shot. And so the director said, okay, Anybody offended by nudity, just get
And
off
all
the
he
set.
To the camera, all you were seeing was his butt. But
That's like
everyone
top
on the
half of his
bridge
butt could see him.
But everyone on the bridge could see
On the
his,
other side would see him. And
The
he had no
cast
problem dropping his drawers
Right.
just to get the shot. But there you go, he did. So
everyone said, the director said, like, anyone offended, please step off the set.
yeah, I'm like, that's great. Just get the shot and get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Now this is a little off. This is not even Star Trek related, but I heard on the set of Boogie Nights.
Well, that's what I heard.
That's as you people listening, if you not probably have seen Boogie Nights by now. He has he's wearing a prosthetic. Mark Wahlberg wears a prosthetic, but in the end you see it, the prosthetic. Now he wore that prosthetic over his real.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and he would apparently walk around the set with that thing
With the prosthetic
over his real. Yeah,
yeah, I would.
Like,
now that I would do.
I'm like, okay. Anyway,
I would do that in a second.
Well,
I'd go to Starbucks wearing that, going, "I'm not actually naked,
yeah,
guys."
I don't think you get through. Yeah, no.
No, you'd get tackled.
yeah, probably. A few stunned moments for a little bit.
God.
Of course, he's Jewish.
No one gets that.
That's
reference.
Superman 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be funny if Mark Wahlberg was walking around the set of Enterprise in this episode? Anyway, where were we?
We were talking about the disappointment of them having to resort to having a quasi nude scene with Hoshi.
Yeah. So I think we resolved that matter. It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I think did it kind of do a reverse where Archer was the A plot. Now he kind of became the B plot.
I was just going to say that. I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to say that.
Do his scenes total what, like 5 minutes in the future?
Not a whole lot.
Not a
and
lot.
I got to say.
And did his hair look different? His hair was bothering me. I looked at his head and I was like, his hair looks different from part 1. I know some months have gone by.
I'll be honest, I don't remember, but if you think about it, I wouldn't be surprised, because if he adopted a new haircut for season 2, they would have had to put a wig on him so he matched his look for season 1.
Yeah, there was something funny about it.
It could be that. I'd have to go back and look, but that could explain it. But
his head looked a little higher, so I'm betting that was a wig.
It is.
Yeah,
Maybe it is.
I'm betting it was.
And I mean, that would have been way easier than, you can't stall production, so he could grow his hair out or cut it or whatever, So,
sure.
But the stuff with Archer, that whole plot, it's not that it was fine, but I feel like they could have done more with it. I felt like it was just connecting dots. It wasn't doing anything particularly profound. Interesting.
Yes.
The plot on the Enterprise was, okay, we got a genuine problem. How are we going to fix it? And it was solving a problem, even though, yes, technically that's what they're doing with the Archer B plot, but it just kind of felt bland in comparison. I mean, they're in the
Archer stuff,
31st century or whatever. Like, yeah. And it should be interesting. And it was mildly interesting when they go into the library.
Well, I mean, but did you feel like Daniels was like acting like a little baby? It's like, but
yeah, but I don't have any technology.
Like, but nothing's here. But
what am I gonna do?
But see, there's supposed to be a monument there, and it's not. I was like, calm down, man.
Yeah.
Like even Scott Bakula was looking at him. Like,
he was a little whiny.
What's your problem? Like, get yourself together.
Yeah, I mean, he said there's not supposed to be real books.
Are
here.
we all such pansies in the future?
Well, there are books. Go get one and read it. You do know how to read in the 34th century, don't you?
Do they teach that in your fancy high school, huh?
But
when you're building your time machine.
This is what I mean. If they were going to go to the lengths of saying there's no technology, so, and for whatever reason, in the 31st century, there's only books in a library that used to be a digital library. That kind of begs a question. Why? Because Archer may not have.
Well, that's because it was destroyed before it was digitized. That's what I took from that. Is that no?
I don't know.
Well, like the monument wasn't there because it wasn't built
because
yet.
The Federation wasn't built there,
and then Earth was destroyed.
What?
So
Earth
was destroyed while they still had real books.
Maybe it's that simple.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make sense because no, he being Daniels said that he checked various books and he said everything up to the 21st century looked right, but then everything after that was wrong. So there was books and information closer to his time frame, but the history was all out of whack.
I don't think he made that. I don't think he said that
He
exactly.
said something
I think you're
like
referring.
it.
He said things after that don't look right. He didn't say how long after.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Well, I think he had said either at the beginning of this part or the end of part 1, he said, Earth, it's destroyed. Yeah, and it looks like it's been destroyed for a long time.
Yeah, I guess
so. Whatever cataclysm that happened, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, that unfortunately, that's like dangling the carrot. And
how do you mean?
What happened? What
cataclysm?
What history befell Earth without Archer there? I was more interested. I would have loved to have known what that alternate history was. Yeah. Even if they just threw it out in some dialogue, and
while they're reading the books.
Yeah. And Daniels could go,
that would have been
wait a minute, this isn't right. And he could share this with Archer because this is not supposed to be the actual timeline. So we could go, wait a second. The Doomsday Machine completely took over this, anything that would have been a result of Archer having started the Federation or something else, right. Just some little fan stuff that we go, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. Oh yeah, that's because Kirk wasn't there. And then he could reference something that would have to do with Picard, not directly by name, but an incident, that was like big, or the Borg invaded this time. What? Or whatever, anything, little nuggets.
So we can piece together what happened.
Yeah. Something to that effect. And, that's all. I mean, it's not like any of that stuff was bad or anything. I thought I was frankly not super interested when he says, "Oh, give me your communicator," and he's playing with it. We don't know really what he's doing. We know he's building a communication device, and he shaved me off pieces of that hammer, and it's like, okay, well, let Daniels be in a corner and have Archer just walk around, look at some things. Just make that scene be more interesting for me, the viewer, and have him look at a book, a map, something that shows, oh, the Klingons.
Well, they were
anything.
They were having dialogue the whole time.
I know they were. Like I said, it felt by the numbers, whereas the A plot on the Enterprise felt a little more lively.
I think you're right. I mean, I think they could have fit what we just suggested into the same amount of time they spent with Daniels and Archer. If they had, let's say, just condensed what they had already given us into a span of about a minute, where what's obvious to us can be obvious to them. Well, they just say right when they get there, yeah, it's been destroyed. It looks like it's been destroyed a while. I can't even see the monument. What monument? The Federation monument. What's that? I can't go into that yet. Do that in like 30 seconds so we can know that something bad happened. Then they go in the library and then they can read books and they can give us those pieces you were talking about.
Right.
And the same thing. We'll spend 5 minutes maybe with them, but we'll get those little nuggets that you were talking about. Yeah. Instead of, Daniels being a little whiny puss, looking around trying to figure out what happened to everything.
That makes you see Daniels in a totally different light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
every time he interacts with Archer prior to this, he's the dominant force.
He has the advantage.
He has the advantage.
Yes.
And even though his technology is gone.
What did George say in Seinfeld? I've got hand. I've got hand. No. No. He would say, "I've got hand."
No.
Okay, forget it. Never mind.
Sorry.
And it was in the dynamic of the relationship. He would say that to his girlfriend, but you can't break up with me. I've got hand. And she would say, "You're going to need it."
Right. Because he has the model hand.
No, that was later.
Oh, that's not that?
I forget hand meant like, I don't know what, but it was in reference to having the advantage, never mind. You don't remember anyway. It's fine.
No, I don't. Sorry.
Neither does anybody listening to this anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's fine. Anyway, so I think that would be good if we just did it that way.
I think that just would have added a little.
I guess we're in the writer's room right now.
I was going to say I think we are. We stepped in and we didn't realize it.
Yeah. So I guess in the writer's room, make Daniels less whiny because he needs to have more hand.
Yeah. And if you're going to spend time in that future that is now alternate, show us or give us glimpses of the events that led to that alternate future. And we're just talking broad strokes.
Maybe they could not just. There's no electricity. Never mind. I was going to say maybe they could have like a monitor, turn on the TV.
Well,
or something.
they had books. You could have maps.
Mm-hmm.
You could any number of things. Hell, in place of the
Maybe like he could power one monitor, Daniels, through some kind of futuristic science, and then they turn it on, and it's like one of the last broadcasts, during the destruction of Earth, and you see like Borg ships.
Wait. What if they did it as kind of a wink reference to City on the Edge of Forever?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
for anyone not knowing, that's an original series episode.
Come on, you think they don't know that?
All right, fine.
Come on.
Where they go back in time, Kirk and Spock is looking at the tricorder, and he's found a way to power it because it was out of power, and he had to come up with some modern day version of things to power it.
Modern day device.
It's just a modern day device.
Yes.
And when he powered it up, first he saw history as it should have been,
right,
and then it faded out, and it showed history that was all wrong, where we lost World War II and all of this.
Right.
And he realized it was all due to a news clipping. Mm-hmm. It all kind of backdated, and it showed it was Edith Keeler was fighting for peace. And he goes, wait a second. But in the original history I saw, she died. And he said, that's it, Captain. That's what set these events in motion. She needs to die and all of that. So it could have kind of been something like that, where you're like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting, and it could go back to Archer, and they can maintain the timeline business where it doesn't have to say anything specific.
Well, Archer takes place before Kirk's time, so
right.
Does that work necessarily?
What?
I mean, would you want it to be that Edith Keeler history? Where...
Oh, no, I don't mean literally the Edith Keeler.
Oh.
I just mean a reference to that where he's looking at the monitor and he sees the history as it should be, and then it's gone. And you see, Klingons invade or whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you would do, since we're in the writer's room,
mm-hmm.
is there anything you would do to the Enterprise capture and retaking that you would do to juice it up?
I was entertained. Nothing was crossing my mind at the time of like, oh, I wish they would have done this or that. I mean, we did mention that the Hoshi thing was unnecessary. I mean, there was the bit where it was only her that could fit in these crawl spaces when clearly anybody could have fit in these things.
I'm like, fit in there.
If they're going to go that route, then make it small.
Make it look
so it looks cramped. Yeah. Actually looks
like
cramped.
You have to build less.
I mean, there was that scene in Deep Space Nine where Garrick was stuck in the wall, and I was like, it looked cramped.
You felt that,
so I was like,
that looked really
I believe that. Why couldn't they do something like that here?
Yeah, I agree.
And this isn't writing. This is in terms of production. So I guess we're in the production room. I would just say
the production office.
Yes, the production office. It's the I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but the lighting, it's too even. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many areas where I'm like, why is it so even lighting? Give us some shadows here and there. I mean, the bridge, it's always even lighting. Everything with the Suluban engineering, always even lighting. It's just kind of dull.
Oh, I know.
And at least put the villains in some shadows. Like the Suluban are in the same lighting as everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
no, I agree with you.
Okay.
We've had consistent issues with the look of this show, that it's just so bland looking. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a good start for season 2. I mean,
yeah,
season 1 was kind of a lot of ups and downs.
A lot of ups and downs.
I think I said last week that our average score was like a B, maybe C plus B for each episode. And it kind of felt that way. Like there was some really high highs,
right?
Some really low lows, but it didn't feel like the Next Generation. Next Generation season 1 gets a lot of grief, but I think
unfairly so.
I think so too. There are some stinkers in there.
Yes,
but there's so much character and like the cinematography.
Oh yeah,
in season 1 and the music
and 2
is good. It's really good. And this was on a TV budget back in the 80s. And
you and I have talked about this very often, even in regards to TNG, that the first 2 seasons, maybe even the third, have more of a cinematic lighting to it. And I don't know if they changed the lenses or what, but
they changed production.
The first 2 seasons have more of a more texture to it, I guess you could say. More shadows, more like that. The third season is definitely kind of in the middle.
Right.
And then when you hit season 4, it's a completely different
it's like
look.
turn the floodlights on.
Yeah, everything's bright. Again, it's a fine looking show. I mean, we're not trying to knock it, but it does look very TV lighting.
Well,
whereas those first 2.5 seasons don't.
You can see the difference, of course, if you watch season 1 to season 7. But if you go from season 7 to Star Trek Generations, where the Enterprise was lit in shadow, in its ready room,
world of difference.
In 10 Forward, I was like, man, they made that same set look cinematic.
I know.
But they could have done that here with Enterprise. And
I agree.
Considering this was the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, they're shooting in 16:9. Why not change it up a little bit more? I mean, I think we've said this enough times. The show didn't take enough risks. Season 1 was not, it didn't take enough chances. They played it safe too many times, so it felt rather bland. And I'm hoping with this episode, we're going to get a good start right here. So this will lead us into what will be a good season for us to review. Some good ideas going on, maybe, that I've forgotten about. I know Carbon Creek is coming up, and I remember really enjoying that one.
I remember that being good. I hope it holds up.
Well, okay,
my memory is that
I have seen that episode relatively recently, probably about 6 months before we started doing this podcast. For some reason, I put that one on.
All right,
because I don't know, I'm weird and I like that one. I don't know why.
It's a good episode. At least I remember it being that.
So I'm hoping we get a good solid block of episodes. I think season 1 had a hot streak for about 3 or 4 episodes. I think it was 3. They had it was the Cold War, the Cold War. What am I trying to say? Temporal Cold War episode with the first one with Daniels, and then they had, I think, Dear Doctor, and then they had
Silent Enemy was in there.
Silent Enemy. I think that was before the Temporal Cold War one. It was like 3 A episodes in a row, and then Dear Doctor topped it off, and then we went down to Sleeping Dogs, and it took a while for it to come back up a little bit more.
It never really quite hit that again. It never got it. Once Dear Doctor, our standards were now set a little high, and unfortunately, they never hit that peak again. I don't think in season 1.
Right.
Unfortunately.
See, now I'm
although Fallen Hero was good.
That was good.
That was an
See, now I'm thinking about the ebb and flow of the first season of TNG, and even the ones that people still don't like at all, like the Neutral Zone. I like it.
I like the Neutral Zone. Say what you will about Code of Honor. It's entertaining.
It's dang entertaining.
It is entertaining.
And so's the one with the hippies. The Garden of Eden hippies.
Not
the TOS.
The
hippies.
Irish ones.
No, not that one.
Not that one?
No, that's not season 1.
Yeah, it is. Oh no, that's Riker with a beard. You're right. That's season 2.
No, the one with the alien, give me back my child.
Oh, that one. The love hippies.
Yeah, I'm from Starfleet. We don't lie.
That's right.
What is that one?
I
can't remember.
The one where Wesley's gonna be killed.
Yeah.
What
is it called?
I don't know.
The 3 people listening out there
They're
are
don't
screaming
you know?
at us. You morons.
That I think you really hit the nail on the head. That season 1 of TNG definitely has ups and downs.
Yeah.
But they're entertaining. Even the bad ones are entertaining, but they're full of character.
And effort. You sense the effort in there.
Yes, absolutely. Even if they miss the mark here and there, you get the effort. I know that what's the title of the episode where Troy is supposed to be married to Wyatt when she's...
Of course, I can't remember now.
Oh, man.
He's drawing the picture of the woman.
Yeah. Now, that episode, I want to say I've read whatever, that's regarded as one of the lower efforts.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's all right.
It's got great fun character bits. The whole dinner scene
Yeah.
where Troy loses her mind, walks out, knocks things over. Mrs. Troy is messing with everyone and all of that. There's a lot of great character. And I think you're right. It's the characters that save that first season.
Sure.
They just, there's something interesting there.
Well, and they let it's not just the characters.
Well,
it's the situations they allow the characters to be in and have some fun.
Yes,
right?
they do. And unfortunately, season 1 of Enterprise does not do a whole lot of that.
No, what they do is they create a scenario so we can get Hoshi's shirt off.
Exactly.
So, yeah, not quite the same thing. I mean, I think that's about all I had to say about
Yeah, I
this
think
episode.
that's about what I've got. I'm looking forward to Carbon Creek.
Yeah, me too. But what do we do first? Do we do rating first, or do we do...
If there's awards, I think we do those first.
And then we do the rating?
Yeah,
Okay.
ratings last.
Do you have any awards?
No, I couldn't think of any.
No, nothing you wanted to highlight, like a best of, worst of, or...
Nothing that's...
No Grumba, no award.
No.
There's one of your awards that was definitely... You should be given an award for. When it happened, when we were watching it, I kind of looked over to you. I was like, that's Justin's award right there.
Well, what was it? No, I don't know.
The Trip Tucker Award for petulance.
Oh, right. Of course. And he really did display it. I did not like that part.
Yes, it was one line.
Yeah.
And I'm looking it up right now because I wrote it down, but it was...
Towards the end, right?
Yeah, he's talking to the view screen. Is it when he's talking to the Starfleet and Vulcan assembly?
Yeah, they're talking.
He says, "You're pathetic."
Yeah, you guys never wanted us out here in the first place. At some point, Archer would turn around and go, "You need to leave the room, buddy.
Yeah.
You're making us look bad."
Yeah.
No, I did not like that. I thought that was really unnecessary, and it really made him stick out in a bad way.
Okay, the episode of TNG. Was called Justice.
Jesus, of course.
Yeah, and the one with is that Haven? Is that Wyatt?
Yes, Haven.
Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, there were some awards for me.
Okay.
Now sometimes I'll have multiple instances where I don't know who to award what because they're both kind of equally bad. Okay, so I think before I award it, I did have a trivia for you.
Oh.
Okay, from the episode. Okay, so in the episode, Trip successfully is able to communicate with other members of the Enterprise while they're being held hostage because he routes it through what?
The EPS power grid?
Yes, correct. Okay, very good. All right, so...
because that scene was marginally interesting and I was paying attention.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
and I must point out, there are times when we record these episodes on a weekend and times when we do it on a weekday.
Yeah.
And by weekday, I mean a work weekday. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy for me to sit in that comfy chair and start to nod. And I did not nod during this episode.
Yeah, not like Rogue Planet.
No, Rogue Planet, I took a nice little snooze at some point.
Okay, so that we got the Trip Tucker Award for petulance.
Yeah.
There was an award. Another award technically for T'Pol. She gets the Shatner Award for Best Dramatic Performance for having to act as if she's actually crazy in front of the Suliban.
No, please.
No.
The science director.
She's like drying on the ground. No, leave me alone. No, don't do it. That was great.
Did she have an accent too like that?
Oh, you didn't notice? Yeah.
No.
I think worst line, that goes to Archer. That goes to Scott Bakula. It's good to have you back, Captain. Great. Feels like I've been away for 1,000 years.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Really bad. Why did they keep that in there? Did they not run this through the second draft? What were they thinking on that one? Okay. The other thing I thought was bad, I think...
Oh, I have a good line.
Oh, what's your line?
I enjoyed the last line of the episode, actually, when Archer has come to see T'Pol.
Oh, you mean when he's giving his great speech about the gazelle?
No, after that. When he comes
that should be worst moment.
The gazelle speech.
Yes.
When he comes to visit T'Pol in her quarters, and he says, "Hey, this is the middle of the night. He's in his jammies. Soshi, and he goes, "Hey, I just got contacted by Admiral Forrest. You put it over the top. Put what over the top? You put it over the top. Can you just say it, Archer? We're safe."
Yeah,
but that's what he's saying.
Some kind of sexual innuendo.
Yeah. The top of what?
Innuendo.
Yeah, that's right. But I like when he goes to leave, and she goes, "I still don't believe in time travel." And he stops at the door and he goes, "The hell you don't," and walks off. Right. Roll credits. I liked that. That was a nice little button.
Yeah, that was nice.
And she does. That was just her way of kind of almost, you know how T'Pol likes to mess with people? Mm-hmm. It's like a thing she does with Trip. she'll take shots at people. It's a fun little game she plays.
He should have said, I don't know, to Paul. Lately, I've been facing mirror images that were not my own.
Quantum physics took a big leap forward today.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he say something like that just once?
Oh, come on.
Just once.
If they have Dean Stockwell on the show and they don't do
to
anything.
it. Yeah, I know.
Come on. The only other thing I had was Daniel's haircut. It bothers me. I just can't stop looking at it. It's weird.
Okay.
No?
It didn't stick out to me.
Okay, I guess it just, I don't know. It looked to me like, do you remember that movie Shallow Hal?
Yeah.
George Costanza was in it.
Right.
Not George Costanza. What's his real name?
No, Jason Alexander.
Jason Alexander was his friend.
Yeah.
Hal's friend, and he
has a nub.
Yes, he has a nub, a tail. But no, Jason Alexander is bald, but in the movie he has hair, but it's actually like spray on. And like in the end of the movie, he actually, and then, he messes it up, and then he's like, oh, you might need a little sod on the fairway there. He's like, what are you talking about? But Daniel's hair kind of looked like that to me. It looked like spray on. It was weird.
I can't say I noticed.
I was just constantly distracted by that. That and his whining. But
yeah, the whining caught my attention.
Yeah.
But okay, down to ratings.
2 weeks ago, I don't remember, so I don't know what I gave. I know we were a little let down by it because it was a lot of build up, a lot of establishment.
Yeah. But
we were open with the fact that we liked it. So I'm going to give it an A. I think that's fair. It was entertaining. Like, I mean, the first part was a letdown to us.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was exciting. Them being held captive on their own ship and having to escape was entertaining. I liked it.
It was not nearly as entertaining as watching the shrunken down crew of the TNG act like children in Rascals and go to Riker and say, he's my number one dad, and
hug him.
Play tag catching the Ferengi. Yes. I don't think you'll ever quite top that.
Well, no, that's setting the bar too high. I mean, only James Cameron can do that.
Okay. I'm going to give it an A-.
Okay. I was going to say A-, but I thought it just wouldn't be fair because
it was a good episode.
Yes.
And I didn't
want to slide it just because, I didn't see the resolution I wanted in our made up episode, So.
Well, no, I'm not sliding it for that. I think the stuff with Archer, which as we pointed out is more the B plot, I felt was a little weak. And you're going to the future. That should really be your A plot, or at least be really interesting, even if you see it in short bursts. And I feel like they didn't really bring that to fruition. And even though the stuff on Enterprise was good, it was really good.
Right.
I'm sure that, like tightening up the crawl space for Hoshi, taking away the stupid shirt thing would have just put it over the top, would have made it just a little bit better. So an A- is a good grade, man. I mean, we've had Rogue Planet, an A- that's good stuff.
Oh yeah. And we did reconsider that to be an F.
Yeah, that's it. So, that's the bottom of the barrel.
We were being kind, giving it
I don't
a
think
D-.
they're ever going to get worse than that.
I hope not.
I don't think it's possible. Than committing the worst sin ever, which is boredom.
Yeah. God, that was painful.
I know.
I had no idea what we were going into. We got to stop bringing that up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about our boredom over that episode.
It's a through line, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's like poetry.
It rhymes.
Exactly.
It's like poetry, everyone. It rhymes. I'm George Lucas.
Get out of here, Rick Berman.
Too many Ricks. Rick Berman, Rick McCallum.
Did you have anything
Jar
else?
Jar is the key to this whole thing. If we get him working, that'll make the whole picture
Jar Jar
work.
working. That's he's the key to everything.
People want Jar Jar and laser swords.
Anything else you wanted to add?
No. Just I'll say it again. I'm looking forward to Carbon Creek. I hope it holds up. I think it will. That's my vote. I think it will. My prediction. Okay.
We got to the top. Is that what he says? You're over the top.
Oh.
No, he said you're over the top.
He says you put it over the top.
Oh, you put it over the top.
You put it over the top. She's like, what are you talking about? Well, Admiral Forrest contacted me. With good news. Like I said, you put it over the top.
No, like that, over the top, like that Sylvester Stallone movie.
Because I'm over the top.
Is that actually a song?
I don't
in the
know.
movie?
I feel like it is. It might be the opening song. I don't know. Or I made it up in my head.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Over the Top?
No. I've seen scenes,
you've got to see
arm
Over the Top.
wrestling.
Dude, it's a movie about arm wrestling.
And I've seen his speech.
Father-son bonds.
Where he's calling his son a spoiled brat, and that kind of thing.
And then he makes him.
You want something? You got to take it.
Then he takes him. They go to they're at like a fast food place, and there's a bunch of like 13-year-old bullies, and he goes, challenge him to an arm wrestling contest. And he's like,
really?
They're 3 times my size. It's not about their size, kid. No, it kind of is. They're 3 times my size.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself and you can win. That's how I beat a 300-pound guy when I'm 150 pounds.
That's like the Miyagi moment from him breaking the
ice. Yeah. Believe in yourself.
Breaking the ice. Yeah.
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 Don't matter. Then he shames at one point. Because he's a truck driver, a big rig truck driver.
Yeah.
He shames his like 13-year-old son for not being able to drive a big rig. He goes, here, take over. You think you're so smart you can drive a rig? Well, of course he can't. He doesn't know anything about the physics of a big rig and how to work it. Dude, it's a really fun movie. You should watch it. Because it's over the top.
Are we bringing this up because there's a similar episode of Enterprise coming up about it?
No, I don't know how we got there. You brought it up.
Oh, yeah, I did. Well, I'm sorry about that.
Let's go out on that.
Bye.